Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Star Wars Rebels episode review. This one's going to be for Season 1, Episode 12, Rebel Resolve. And yeah, this was interesting. Obviously, it's the first time, I suppose, in the series that we really had a plot that was set up from like the end of the last episode going into this one, and now it's going to continue into the next episode, with the to be continued at the end. So straight away, that's I suppose a positive for the series, that it really has a kind of a plot going in play. It's not just, okay, the rebels are doing this episode, then this thing the next. This time round, Kanan's been captured. Ezra wanted to get Kanan back and would do anything for him, went behind Hera's back and created this situation that's happening now, where they're all together now. They're on the search for Kanan. They know where he's heading, slash the ship he's on, and it's clear setup for the next episode. So I think that's a big positive for the series going forward, that it's becoming more story plot driven. And there was also a few other teases in the episode with some stuff that I really did like. So I suppose I'll start off with that. We did, I suppose, get a look at Fulcrum for the first time. And I suppose I'm just going to refer to Fulcrum as a she, because I really think the way they did the voice here, it was very clear that it was a female voice. Just with the way some of the stuff was said, that even though it was clearly going through a filter, I think it was very clear that it was a female voice. So I'm very confident at this point in saying that Fulcrum is a female. Now, speculations have been going around the place that it's Ahsoka from the Clone Wars, which I think would be amazing if that was the case. I would really like that idea. It would add so much to the series if it was Ahsoka. Do I think it? I'm not really sure. A lot of people are saying, there's a big argument obviously going around about, okay, we see Fulcrum on screen wearing a hood. How could Ahsoka, fit in that hood, given that she's much older now than when the Clone Wars ended. So her character design would probably look more like she did in the Mortis arc, where an older version of herself appeared to her. And in that case, she had the kind of she's a Togruta. I don't really know what they call the kind of horn kind of things that she has, but either way, they grow and they kind of go up, and so she has pretty large horns, kind of more like Shakti. So I don't know how she could fit them in a hood like that, unless her horns grew differently than that Clone Wars model did, or else the hologram isn't actually Ahsoka, or else it's not Ahsoka full stop. It is maybe perhaps Leia, as a lot of other people are predicting. Either way, I'm pretty happy. It could be a case of like Fulcrum is the two of them, like just communicating with Hera at different points, but the main thing I think that I got from this episode in terms of big stuff was they're really addressing now something that I've been bringing up in some of these reviews, and that is that Hera is really keeping these guys in the dark. She is not telling them anything about the overall goals of this group. And it's been a problem with the series because Hera's been so secretive, but now she specifically says, do you think that he's going to break and actually tell them anything about us? But then she kind of is like, no, because he doesn't actually know anything. And so you saw in that moment that one, yes, it's great that Kanan doesn't know the information, so he can't give it away, but she also kind of is like, wow, I really haven't told these guys anything. It was a really interesting approach to kind of take with that, just that she hasn't told them anything. And we had a whole episode with Sabine being frustrated over that. Ezra obviously hasn't been told anything, neither has Zeb. And I assume if it happens they get Kanan back, she's probably going to have to be more open with them. She probably will have to reveal to them who Fulcrum is, involve them in the fold, and finally reveal to us what the goal of this alliance is, and reveal to us, I suppose, the origins of Hera wanting to form this group. Explain to us the stuff from the novel, the Rebels novel that came out before the series, why she's hunting around for all of this stuff, and bring in more Rebel characters, explain who Fulcrum is and stuff like that. I think that's the overall kind of interesting mystery stuff, the overall kind of key thing that this series is obviously setting up. to explaining where the Rebel Alliance came from in the original trilogy. And if Hera is really responsible for that, this group is heavily involved in that, really cool idea. If Ahsoka's involved, if Leia's involved, all the better. I think season 2 of this show could be amazing if they really go for it in terms of bringing in these characters we want to be involved and really addressing where the Rebel Alliance came from. And I assume, I think a lot of that is going to come from revealing Hera's backstory. Now, I know Star Wars seems to have a problem with giving characters backstory in terms of, like, showing us anything, and just, rather they tend to just do it as, like, oh, here's our, character specifically just talking about the backstory rather than showing it. I'd much prefer if they showed it. But either way, I just want to know Hera's backstory, I think, because she's very just mysterious now in the way she's kind of presented, and that I suppose the crew kind of goes against her because she decides to, keep the crew, because she wants to keep the information secret and all this sort of stuff. So she decides to kind of almost give up on Kanan, but not really. It was an interesting idea, just that outwardly, she was telling them not to kind of plan anything, and not revealing specifically why that was the case, because she has all these secrets that she has to keep from the group because of her relationship with Fulcrum. And it was just very interesting to see that play out over the course of the episode, and that they actually had to trick Hera, go undercover, start this plan at the place, and then she kind of comes in at the end and is very angry about what's happened, and that Ezra has to reveal that he and Kanan are Jedi to Vizago to get him to give the information to them, and now he owes Vizago a favor, which is also a plot that's being set up for something, that he's going to ask this group to do something that perhaps they're not going to want to do, or something like that. The Vizago, because he has been a recurring character, that's going somewhere. Something's happening there, and I'm very intrigued to see what exactly that is. Like, does it involve Lando? Might we see Han introduced at some point? The Millennium Falcon? That would be interesting. But either way, they know now where the ship that Kanan is on, plus where he's going. He's been taken to Mustafar, and it's now established that after the Clone Wars, Mustafar is the place where they bring Jedi to torture them, interrogate them, and eventually kill them. And that's interesting that this place has become infamous for that. And it's like super fitting, because obviously that's the place where Anakin ultimately, I suppose, died, quote unquote, and became Darth Vader there, quote unquote, depending on when you really think that happened. Did Anakin become Darth Vader when Palpatine gave him the name Darth Vader? Did he become Darth Vader during the fight with Obi-Wan when he choked Padme, or was it when the armor went on? It very depends on that, but either way, that fight with Obi-Wan is very significant and symbolic of him kind of becoming the kind of Darth Vader. And so it's extremely fitting that they kind of have a place there to kill Jedi, and I'd almost like it if they introduced Darth Vader as a character and had his thoughts on this place, because there's so many places that this show can go, just because you have a lot of these original trilogy characters at a much younger age, where you can add to their character and explain further who they are as you go into the original trilogy. So I'm excited if they go that route, and they still have these kind of new original characters for this series to actually develop as well. Only really other side of the episode to talk about is Kanan being interrogated by Tarkin and the Inquisitor. Ultimately, I don't think there's a massive amount to say about it. It was an interrogation scene, very reminiscent of original trilogy, when Leia was being interrogated by Tarkin, and the probe droids and stuff like that, and you just have the reveal that Jedi are resistant to mind probes and stuff like that because of the Force and stuff like that. And instead, they just decide to torture him because even Jedi aren't resistant to pain. And he still doesn't break or anything like that, and just kind of shows his resolve by saying, I can see you getting frustrated by the fact that I can't tell you anything. And they seem to come to the conclusion very quickly that is it possible that he just doesn't know anything? And I kind of like that they didn't just continue to torture him and do the kind of typical villain thing of like, you have to know, you're just keeping it from me, and more like, wait, actually, this guy just doesn't actually know. And because we found out in basically the previous scene that Hera's like, he doesn't actually know anything, I'm the one who knows all the stuff. Interesting dynamic for sure. And I'm just interested. It was another to be continued episode, and I like that they're doing these, and it is making the show a lot more plot driven. And we're very quickly approaching the end of this season. I don't really know how many episodes there are to go because of the whole mix up with the numbers of the episodes. I don't really know which one is which, but by my count, there's either 4, 5, or 6 episodes to go. There could even only be 3, but I'm not sure. But they seem to be approaching some sort of finale with this, that maybe this arc is going to go on for like an episode or 2 more, and then we'll have some big battle or something like that, and in the finale something big will happen setting up season 2. I would assume that the reveal of who Fulcrum is probably going to be some sort of cliffhanger ending or something like that, that hey look, it's Ahsoka, it's Leia, and that's the end of the season. But definitely I think they should probably go down the road of ending the season with a further setup for, the rebels have kind of joined forces with other rebels, and you can really start to see the Rebel Alliance forming. I'm not sure if the series is going to attempt to try and link into the new movie trilogy or any of the standalone Star Wars films. Maybe they will, it'd be really interesting if one of these characters, just pops up in one of the new films, like you see Sabine there, or probably not Ezra or Kanan, just because of the whole Jedi thing and Luke is the last hope and all that sort of stuff. But Zeb, Hera appearing would be really interesting. But yeah, other than that, Rebel Resolve, a good episode. It definitely feels like a part 1 in that it was a lot of just reaction to Kanan being captured. We start off the episode with a pretty hot opening, just action scene. They're trying to figure out ways to kind of find out where he is. Then Hera gets a call from Fulcrum. You're drawing too much attention. You have to stay undercover. The other people go against Hera. It's a lot of just setting up situations before the kind of big events of this arc are really going to happen, when obviously the crew comes into contact with the ship and the rescue attempt actually happens. And I assume potentially you'll have the Inquisitor and Ezra involved in a kind of lightsaber fight for the first time, where the Inquisitor will get to see basically Ezra's lightsaber in action, and we'll maybe get to see if it has any more tricks and if that helps him out in the fight. Plus, obviously, the Fulcrum thing I think is going to be big, and ultimately they're probably leading towards Hera finally revealing to the crew what the ultimate plan is, because that has been a big thing in the series. I think that just she has been so secretive about that. But definitely in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this episode. Other than that, that's been the review. Thanks for watching, and bye.